Hello and welcome back to Arsenal Domination, where it never rains, it only pours for Arsenal from an injury point of view. News overnight from L'Equipe, the sports publication in France, suggests that William Saliba will be out for a couple of weeks with a hamstring injury. I think probably when you look at the reliability of the publication, coupled with Mikel Arteta's comments, coupled with the fact that Saliba was not even in the ground on Saturday, this suggests that this is going to be the case, that Arsenal will be out without him for a number of weeks and that the injury is going to be a hamstring. It's what we feared might be the case, but probably hoped it wouldn't be. And it leaves Arsenal with yet another injury to add to their list of injured players. Life is life has been difficult for Arsenal this season with injuries. I think nearly over 80% of the first team squad now have had an injury of some point this season, which is not normal. But they've been big injuries as well, or injuries in a similar part of the pitch. If you look at the moment, you've got Saka, Wanyeri, and Jesus all out. All three of them can play on the right hand side. Not necessarily their best position, but can play on the right hand side. And it's the same in defence, where we currently have Tomiyasu, Calafiori, Saliba, and Benjamin White all out, all of which are, can play on the right side. Calafiori, admittedly, more of a left side player than a right side player. But when you have concentrated injuries in one position, it can become really, really difficult for a manager to find solutions for, and easier for teams to exploit. Now, I'm not saying that was the reason Arsenal drew the game on Saturday, because to be perfectly honest, the issue wasn't for me about Thomas Partey not tracking his runner because he was a right back. The issue was Thomas Partey didn't track his runner, and he should know better as an experienced defensive player. But I do think it's been a factor in the number of goals we have conceded this season have been injuries, particularly in defence, because we've seen 11 different back four combinations this season, and that is not a good thing for Arsenal in any way, shape, or form, because you have two. In defence in particular, combinations and understanding and connections on the pitch are really, really important, because you're trying to predict what the other team are going to do, and you need to be in a cohesive unit to help defend the space, block the space, deny the attackers room where they want the room, and all of those things. And that's what makes it so important, particularly in a defensive-minded team, which Arsenal are sort of set up to be. Whether you agree with that or not is a matter for another day. So, the news to William Saliba, on top of those other injuries we have at the back line, is going to leave Mikel Arteta a problem, and it's a problem he's going to need to find a solution to. And I was looking at what they are going to be, and I just thought I'd take you through them. Excuse me, sorry. So I think there's a few options for Arsenal. The first option is the one that we saw on Saturday. It's an option that a lot of people don't like, myself included. It is Thomas Partey at right back with Yorin Timber moving inside. Now, this is essentially two changes to Arsenal, because you're moving Timber from right back to right centre back, and you are moving Thomas Partey into right back. The advantage, I suppose, being that Partey at least has played a few games there this season. He's an experienced defensive player. He is a midfielder, but he is at least a defensively minded player, and he's an experienced player, which are the plus sides. The downsides, of course, are that Yorin Timber is best at right back rather than right centre back, but he is solid there, and it probably is your best available centre half pairing in terms of ability. But the downsides, of course, being that Thomas Partey, not a natural right back, we lose his sort of presence in the centre of the park, where he has been generally excellent in midfield this season. And you are seeing the fact that he probably can't get forward to support the attack as well as a player like Yorin Timber can, which means you're losing something going forward there. So it is not an ideal solution. It's the one that Mikel Arteta has used most often this season when he's needed to make a change at right back for whatever reason. But it and it's certainly not popular with fans, but it is an option for the manager Mikel Arteta. The second option is to play Jakub Kiwior at centre back. That is his natural position. He is very left-footed, and you'd be playing him on the right or Gabriel on the right, but I would assume it would be Kivior rather than making a third change, which would be moving Gabriel across, or another change, I should say. That would be two as well. This is the one that makes the least number of changes, and from that point of view, is quite a sensible option. I spoke about chemistry and understanding. And the advantage of that is that you have a natural centre half at centre half, coupled with just one change to back four rather than two changes. The downside of this is, and I do find it a bit weird, is it puts three left footers in your back line. Teams and fans don't seem to have a problem with three right footers or even four right footers in the side, but that, you know, could potentially be a bit of an option there if sort of people want to try and attack that right side of Kivior, given he's not the most agile of players. I think the biggest downside I see of this is less that. It is more the fact that I think Kivior and Gabriel are more similar types of centre halves. The reason I think the Gabriel Saliba centre half pairing is the best, or at least the second best in the league, but I think it's the best, is that they are very different stylistically and they couple together beautifully like a jigsaw, and that's what makes them so good. You know, I'm going to sort of simplify this to make the point, but Gabriel is that big, strong, powerful centre half. You shall not pass, and I'm going to beat you physically. Saliba is that sort of more stylish player that sort of intercepts the ball and glides around the pitch to win the ball. That is an oversimplification, of course, but Kivior is very much in the mould of Gabriel, but without that class. I think he's an okay backup. He's nothing more than that. That's his level. Probably one we'll move on in the summer, but he's absolutely fine as part of the squad. But I really would worry about that as a combination. And fans that are calling for this have probably forgotten about how they never want to see him play again after the Crystal Palace game, where he was definitely at fault for Palace's first. The third option is Declan Rice to the back line. I think this is very similar to the downsides of Thomas Partey. You'd probably play Rice at right centre half, but he hasn't played there since his early days at West Ham. I think you could probably get by in the Champions League games with him there, but Manchester City, that would be another matter. And you also would miss Rice's presence in midfield. Fans would argue that Thomas Partey has been our best midfielder this season. I think that's correct, but Declan Rice is definitely the better player, and we're starting to see him return to form, and I really don't want to see him move out of midfield either. So I think this is an option that also comes with significant downsides. And you're seeing a pattern here. There are very few upsides here. The last options, of course, would be to move either Miles Lewis-Skelly or if and when he returns, Calafiori to right back. Probably Calafiori to right back would be my preferred option out of all of these, but he's not an option at the moment because he too is injured. I think my issue with Miles Lewis-Skelly moving to right back is, again, you're making the two changes, but he's a left-footed player playing at right back, and I really, really don't like that. I think he's done really, really well at left back, but it's also not his natural position. You're now asking him to play out of position on the wrong side as well. Maybe left back will be his position moving forward, but I think he will become or revert back to being a central midfielder at some point. And actually, his relationship Gabriel shored up that side, so you're potentially weakening both sides of your defence if you do that. So I think they're the options for Arsenal, and as I say, none of them are really palatable options, and that goes back to this is that issue of the issue for the manager is Arsenal have no good options despite their obvious quality and depth in the side. The injuries have absolutely ravaged it. Mikel Arteta is going to have to find a solution for the next 2 or 3 weeks, and it's going to have to be one of those options. Unless he promotes Josh Nichols from the youth academy, and he just doesn't look ready to me in the bits we've seen from him this season in the League Cup. I think he's going to go with Thomas Partey at right back. I think probably in the absence of Calafiori, it's what I would do, but it's not what any of us want to see, and it is going to be a problem for Arsenal in the coming weeks because we will lose something offensively and we will lose something defensively, and we're now, thanks to a variety of issues, in a position where we can't afford to give any more ground to Liverpool. They look vulnerable still, and they can be caught, but we don't look like doing it at the moment because we are not taking advantage, and this isn't going to help. We'll see what Mikel Arteta does. I think that's enough for me on the right back, centre back position. Let me know in the comments what you would do, and we will see our first glimpse of what Mikel Arteta will do, or second glimpse, I suppose, after the Villa game on Wednesday when we play in the Champions League. Thank you all for listening. Please do like, subscribe, and all that stuff. And as I say, interested to see your views in the comments. I will speak to you soon. Thanks. Bye.